It's been a long time, hasn't it? Not long enough, it seems. I tried to take my break, all that stuff, blah, 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 but whatever, I've had a bit of a cold, so, I thought my reading wouldn't be that good, yada, yada. And anyway, chapter 17, I guess. The previous chapter, again, like, I just kind of want to jump into 17 because, again, I'm repeating myself. Like, how many times can I just say, oh, nothing happened in this chapter? It was filler, blah, blah, blah. It's the same as the Paris chapter, except this time they went to Deutschland, Germany, and I really. I. I really can't say a thing about what happened the last chapter, and again, I'm tired of repeating myself. This is one of the shorter ones, but whatever, let's go. I kind of want to get this whole thing done. uh, Chapter 17. Yeah, I'm sorry if I sound weird because, I'm a little bit under the weather, but here we go. 32-year-old lawyer Connie McKenson worked for the old New York law firm Kent, Stein, O'Connor, and Farley. I don't know these characters. I probably forgot them, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. I soon learned about her. Steve and I watched the news with Mr. and Mrs. Parker. Once again, I was the lead story. A, a class action suit is being filed against Theresa Hartley for damages to owners of gold. Attorney Connie McKenson spoke to reporters for a short while ago. Oh yeah, there was like a thing with gold, I think. Yeah. The scene switched to Connie McKenson standing at a podium with 8 older lawyers standing behind her. We are filing a case against suit. I can't read. It's been way too long. Maybe not long enough, like I said. We are filing a case action suit against Theresa Hartley for suddenly and callously running the fortunes of thousands of gold bullion owners. Bullion. I have no idea how to say this word. I'm like Megamind Shul. Many people put most or all their retirement funds in gold thinking it was the safest of all investments, only to be wiped out when Mrs. Hartley caused the prices to collapse. Her failure to make some kind of arrangement with the victims has led to ask for $35 billion in damages, which is far less than she will get from her gold sales. Oh wow, she's actually getting consequences for her actions. This was something that happened like 2 chapters ago or something. If only we didn't have chapter 16 with Deutschland, Germany to distract from everything, then maybe this could flow together better. But oh well, what do you know? Something seems to be happening. Let's see how they mess it up. The scene switched to a reporter interviewing a Yale law professor. Does Connie McKenson have a case? In most districts, no. But with the amount of money involved, they will file in every district in the country. I can't read. I'm so sorry. I'm illiterate. In the country until they find a judge who will take on the case. Also, house rearranged, so I'm not even at my normal sitting position. This is uncomfortable as heck. They do not have. Is he still talking? Yeah. They do not have an argument, although a weak one. They do. They do have an argument, although a weak one. She did not discover a gold mine on Earth, which would be a legitimate basis for competition and sales. Lawyers will argue she changed the rules of the game during halftime, switching an alien commodity for a domestic one. And that's not fair to her competitors, who had no way to defend themselves. A couple thousand corporations have said they need that gold. They won't be on the jury. These are 2 different people talking. Sorry for the voices. Will we see Theresa Hartley testify on camera? Yes, this is only the beginning. There will be more class action suits here and abroad. She may spend most of her life in court. Those scumbags! Exclaimed Steve. You get to save the. Or sorry, that was. You get to save their worthless butts, and this is the thanks you get. But I was not ready to hear that. It was Steve's idea to get the gold, and I suffered from it. Okay, so blaming him. I see how it's going. I was so angry the tears came to me eyes. She talking like a pirate. I was so angry that the tears came to me eyes. Getting gold was your idea, I said, and got up to run upstairs. Stunned, Steve watched me walk away. This was not like me. He was getting angry too. Instead of following me upstairs, He went down to the recreation room. He had to do something physical to let off steam. He walked to the pool table and started practicing shots. In a moment, Edmund Parker came down to join him. Okay, so she's narrating on his behalf what's going on with him. This is why I typically don't like first person story narrations because it makes the perspective weird, but whatever. May I play a game, old boy? Yeah, may I play a game, old boy? Sure, Steve said, and racked the balls. Apparently he's Western now. I don't do the Brooklyn thing. I lay on my bed fighting back the tears. The horrible unfairness of it. I had done nothing wrong. The dogs were barking again, like that annoying dog next page, had to walk by on my way to school. Again, and none of this was my fault. I just went through with a bad idea. She's deflecting the blame onto other people. Was I being unfair to Steve? Yes. It was his idea. I hadn't wanted to do it. People had sent me $56 million in the mail, which was enough to last a lifetime. I had done nothing after bringing down the Xenon. People would have forgotten me. Or had I done nothing after bringing down the Xenon, people would have forgotten me. I calmed down a little. What did I have now? I had a marriage to a great guy, and while he had an occasional lapse from perfection, perhaps I did too. Steve was a good man. Before he realized I could out-wrestle King Kong, he treated me as gently as if I were made of brittle glass. There was a kindness in this man few women would find, and he thought a lot of me, too. I could see it in how he looked at me. When I juggled this flurry of confusion, juvenile thoughts, there was a knock on the door. Steve wouldn't knock. Who's there? Yeah. Mrs. Parker, may I come in? I got up and let the lady in. She sat on the bed next to me. Oh yeah, this is time. Long ago, Mr. Parker and I had our little tiffs. It was his fault, it was my fault, it was both our faults. Marriage partners share responsibility for all that follows because everything they do affects each other. All they try to do is get by in this world. When something goes wrong, they're both to blame, and neither is to blame. The world is to blame. That's terrible advice, I'd say. Like, oh, the world is to blame for all your problems. It's their fault. It's all my fault. Just people screw up. Like, you don't mean to make it all poetic. Anyway, this is Theresa talking, narrating. Steve and Mr. Parker were still playing pool when I came down the stairs to the rec room. Mr. Parker immediately put his cue stick down on the table and went back upstairs to leave us alone. I need help, I said. Don't worry. Yeah, don't worry. We'll get this lawyer female dog. I can't say the word. Prime Minister Blair called to say he'd talked with President Stinson. There was nothing the president could do because it was not a criminal matter. Both the president and Blair wanted to do what I'd do. I'm going to... I don't know who's talking. Okay, this is her talking. I'm going to force her to drop the suit, I told him. I can't allow myself to be bullied. Wouldn't you do her harm? Of course not. Or damage to her property? Won't have to do that either. What else is there? Sorry, Mr. Blair. Oh, this is Blair talking. I thought this was... I never know who's talking. I thought this was... whatever. Sorry, Mr. Blair. The surprise is the fun of it. The night of Connie McKenson's lawsuit announced a U.S. senator was interviewed on CNN. He said, "This is the most harebrained idea I've ever heard. Every person on Earth owes his life to Theresa. If she's summoned to court, we'll see 1 million people demonstrating outside the courthouse." That's all he has to say to start the avalanche. The next morning, 300,000 people gathered in front of the New York County Courthouse, this beautiful building that looked like an ancient Greek temple and was used as a backdrop in countless movies, was probably not where the civil case would be heard, but that didn't matter. It was a visual symbol, and the crowd gathered there. They were chanting, "Free Theresa and drop the suit! Kill the lawyers! Give them the boot!" The next morning, There were 800,000 people at the courthouse. I was still in England. A date for the suit hearing hadn't even been set. That would happen if I actually did show up at the next page. The court. Wait, hold up. That's a question. What would happen if I actually did show up at the courthouse? Holy smokes! Things were getting out of control, and President Stinson called a hasty press conference at 3 o'clock Washington time. Our intelligence service and our intelligence services informed me of increased terrorist traffic on telephone and computer networks. A terrorist attack seemed imminent in New York. A crowd edging up close to 1 million is an irresistible target for terrorists. I appeal to everybody to disperse and not return to the courthouse. The police cannot protect crowds this large. It was 9 o'clock at London. Steve jumped up and went to the phone. "This is Steve Hartley. Give me the BBC," he said to the operator. The connection was made in a minute. "Good evening, Mr. Hartley. Are you recording this? If you wish, it's being recorded." "Tell the American people to stop demonstrating. Theresa will never go to the courthouse. She's going to make the lawyers drop the suit. That's official. Good night, sir." The next day, there were only a few thousand curiosity seekers at the courthouse. The police could handle that. A week went by. I was ready to get Connie Mackensen. A little research on the internet revealed that the law firm of Kent, Stein, O'Connor, and Farley was on the 6th floor of the Lamper building in Upper Manhattan. I found a picture of the building and printed it out to commit it to memory. Next, I went to MapQuest to get and print out a map of that part of the city. With that work, I could zero in on Connie Mackensen. I put my hands over my eyes to start Hal's black and white vision. I located the eastern coast of the United States, zeroed in on New York, Manhattan Island, Upper Manhattan, and the street on which the map said the Lamper building was located. With a few minutes search, I found the Lamper building. I zeroed in on the 6th floor and found female dog, Connie Mackensen, in an office talking on the phone. It was nearly 5 p.m. New York time. Again, she's not saying female dog, I just have to censor myself. I have her. Tag her. Steve was sitting next to me, waiting for this word. He and 2.5 by 15-inch strip of artist's mat board in his lap. The number was 0000451, was written on it in thick acrylic paint. This number matched a number on a mat board containing the Mackensen program. I had stopped using wire on plywood. Thick acrylic paint on artist's mat board worked as well for Hal, and was much faster and easier. Next to the number, Steve added a T. Next to the number, a comma could really help here. Next to the number, Steve added a T painted on an inch-wide piece of mat board. This tagged Connie Mackensen. Hal would keep track of her until the T was removed. I watched the woman. After a while, Connie put on a jacket and left the office. She was going home for the day. She went down an elevator, out to the front door to the street, and walked to a parking garage next to the Lamper building. She got into her car and hit the streets. I followed the car. Connie drove down many city streets, ending up on a highway. She headed north for miles and turned off the highway onto the residential street. A few more turns, and she arrived at her house. Okay, I'm guessing this is that infamous lawyer thing that I've heard about, which is just another thing that makes Theresa seem like a terrible person. Well, I won't give away too much that I know, but let's continue. She arrived at her house. She lives in a single-family home, I informed Steve. I hope she likes it, Steve said, and I laughed. Connie parked in the garage and walked around the back of the car. She had become a celebrity for taking on the World Empress, and a television crew stationed across the street yelled, "Hi, Connie!" or something to her. Okay, so World Empress, this is where her nickname Empress Theresa comes in, I guess. She waved back. She was a ham. Who isn't? Connie went into the living room where two young children waited with a babysitter. After exchanging a few words with her employer, the babysitter left. Yup, she lives there, I said. I think she's in for the night. Hit her. Steve put an X next to the T. Connie Mackensen was in for an unpleasant surprise in the morning. I switched back to my normal vision. We got her, I said triumphantly. Is she trying to kill, like, the lawyer that's trying to prosecute her? Oh, holy crap. Um, Connie Mackensen had to get up at 5 o'clock a.m. in order to get the house going and still make it to work on time. After the babysitter arrived, she walked out to the garage. The television crew shouted morning greetings at her. The ham waved and smiled at them. She started the car, put the transmission in reverse, and hit the gas. The engine stalled. She tried again, pressing further down on the gas pedal. The front drive wheels spun on the slick garage floor, throwing up smoke. But the car didn't move at all. She got out to check the front of the car. It wasn't tied down it wasn't tied down in any way. She got on her knees to look under the car. There were no tire blocks or anything she could see. She walked to the garage entrance with no particular purpose. She was simply mystified. Need help? Yelled the television crew. Yes, come over. Three men came over. One pointed a camera at the proceedings. Can you guys push the car out? One man set the shift stick to neutral, and they both pushed the car out to the driveway with little effort. Connie got back in and pushed the gas pedal, but despite the drive wheels smoking, the car didn't budge. She got out again. You guys try it. One of the men got in and had no trouble driving the car out to the street. Connie looked alarmed. Can you guys give me a ride? They all went to the television van and got in. It was the same result. No amount of pressure on the gas pedal could make the van move. Voice crack. Connie got out. The driver got the van to move forward. She got back in. It didn't move. The reality hit her. Any vehicle she entered would not move. I wasn't going to allow her to go anywhere except on foot. It was horrible. Nobody in New York could live any kind of life without transportation. She returned to her home to ponder the idea. The media discussed this development all day. A lawyer said, Theresa Hartley is committing a felony. Restricting someone's movement without due process is kidnapping. She could get 25 years. Another lawyer on the panel replied, What evidence do we have against her? What do you mean, what evidence? We all know it's her. Yeah, Teresa's starting to sound like the bad guy here. I mean, I'm not saying that she didn't, like, before, but sheesh. Of course. But there's not a shred of evidence. You can't go into a criminal court without evidence. Anyway, who's going to arrest her? So, I could do anything I wanted to anybody, and nobody would dare do anything about it. I kind of liked that. Okay, tell me that she doesn't sound like a villain right now. Like, this is what we call protagonist-centered morality, where it's not okay if anybody else does this sort of stuff, but if the main character does, then it's okay. I mean, you can get away with that if, well, the main character is a villain, like a bad guy, but I'm pretty sure Teresa's been described up to this point as the perfect Catholic girl. I haven't forgotten that description. Whatever. Nobody would do anything about it. I kind of liked that. This was the first time I had done anything to influence somebody's activity. Some people said this was a sign I had a bad streak in me, and I would eventually tell everybody what to do. Oh, really? When had I told anybody what to do? I couldn't even lead by example because nobody could do what I did. The most I could do was give an example of the right attitude to have about life, God, and myself. Okay, the most I could do was give an example of the right attitude to have about life, God, and myself. This is the right attitude, the right example. Oh, this person wants to prosecute me because I clearly did something illegal with gold and money, so I'm gonna basically use my powers to essentially slash her tires for any vehicle she gets into as like a curse. The law firm Kent, Stein, O'Connor, and Farley didn't issue a statement all day. I went back to work because the greedy sharks needed more convincing. The scene of Connie Mackensen making her announcement about the lawsuit was shown repeatedly. There were different camera angles showing all 8 of the lawyers standing behind her. Steve found these scenes on the internet and printed them out. Now I could find them too. I zeroed in on the Lamper building and found sorry, and found the 8 lawyers. They were all men, so the crybaby media couldn't say I was making it hard for mommies to take care of their kids, as they said about Connie McKenson. I found them, and Steve tagged them with T's, and I hit them with X's while they were at work. When they left the building to go home, they found out by one that no vehicles would move with their butts inside. They were forced to walk to nearby hotels. The effect was electric. I could do this vehicular immobility trick on anybody in any numbers. No one was safe. Imagine not being able to go anywhere, said an astonished President Stinson to her cabinet. Forget about trying to charge her with kidnapping. Who's going to arrest her? That was the exact phrase being used by the media. The next day, the law firm Kent, Stein, O'Connor, and Farley. Can't you just say the law firms? I don't need to read these names every single time. Announced they were withdrawing the lawsuit. They're withdrawing it just because they can't drive. People are going to start marching in streets at this point. Like, that's just kind of how people do. The humans are stubborn. Where was I? They were withdrawing the lawsuit. I took the X's off the 9 strips of the map board, and the 9 lawyers could use vehicles. Nobody would ever dare sue me again. Oh, here's the title drop. Don't mess around with Empress Theresa. There's Steve smirked. Madam, said Arthur, the Prime Minister wishes to make a visit accompanied by the American ambassador. There had been many such requests for visits by people other than Blair, but I'd refused them all. I couldn't waste my time with people who wanted to advance their careers by being photographed with the World Empress. But this was different. Blair wanted me to meet someone. I couldn't waste my time with these people that want to photograph us. I swear, this is how you deliberately write somebody to be evil. Like, at least before it was just like, oh yeah, she's deluded and doesn't realize this is evil. Now she's just flat out talking how a freaking supervillain would talk. This is different. Blair wanted me to meet someone. I'll see them, I answered. Steve, Peter Blair, the ambassador, Mr. and Mrs. Parker, and I were soon seated in the living room. The Parkers were there at my invitation. I thought they had the right to know what was going on in their own house. Blair started it off. Ambassador Fox has a request. Mr. Ambassador? How much more of this chapter? Okay, one more page, thank goodness. We were greatly impressed by your grounding of the lawyers. That was quite a trick. They're rewarding bad behavior, aren't they? I don't know what you're talking about, but thank you anyway. Ambassador Fox smiled. He saw I was no fool. You have nothing to worry about. Who would be crazy enough to arrest you? They're admitting that the only reason they're not arresting her is because they're afraid of her power. Yeah, she's evil! Anyway, I smiled in turn. Okay, what's up? We have the idea, I think this is, the president talking, I don't know what accent to do, I don't care. We have the idea this grounding trick can put terrorists out of business. If you could do that to thousands of them, terrorist movements will die out. They may hope to be martyrs and go to paradise, but there's no glamour in having to walk everywhere all your life. Is glamour always spelled with an O-U-R? Because, I don't know, that's just a random common, if maybe I'm stupid, but random Commonwealth spelling, whatever. I'm losing track. I'm actually like, am I about to pass out again? Glamour and having to work everywhere. Steve and I had suspected that he would say something like that. I looked at Edmund Parker. What do you think, Mr. Parker? This is Caesar crossing the Rubicon. Once you are involved in international politics, there is no turning back. Mrs. Parker shook her head to indicate no. These two people had a lot more experience than me. They were advising me to drop the idea. I could see where grounding, as the ambassadors called it, would get the terrorists mad as hell. But they were killing innocent people. Could I ignore that? I took Steve's hand and stood up. Will you excuse us a minute? We crossed the foyer to enter the family room. What do you think? I asked. Parker is right. Governments will come after you. They're already after me. Look, I'm not going to drag you into something you didn't ask for. If you say no, I'll say no. Steve agonized over that silently for a full minute. I'm thinking of all those innocent people being slaughtered. I can't say no, but I don't like it. I don't know who's talking here. Me neither. All right, we'll go for it. So much for retirement. I might have got that backwards. We returned to the living room. I'll do it. Excellent. I'll have some people come in a week. The Parkers made no effort to hide their disappointment. Their darling Theresa was more important to them than nameless bombing victims. Wow. Just. Do I even have to comment on that? What I just read right there? That's. Just wow. When I was a little girl. No comma, by the way. When I was a little girl, Mom tried to find me toys that would teach me to figure things out. Like toys the boys had before there were video games. Now you want me to play games with the world. If this leads to war, no comma. If this leads to war, I want President to take responsibility. I want it in writing, her signature this week. Fair enough. We went for a walk through the forest to ponder whether this was a giant leap for mankind or a step into quicksand. Ambassador Fox returned in 3 days with President Stinson's signed statement. I take full responsibility for the grounding of international terrorists by Theresa Elizabeth Sullivan Hartley, who is acting as my agent. Veronica Stinson, President of the United States. Okay, so we have a female president. I mean, I guess that explains why a lot of stuff's going to crap. This is actually garbage. This is freaking. This might. I was gonna say this might be the worst chapter I've ever read, but this is officially. This might actually just be where she's officially gone off the deep end, as if she somehow hasn't before. But I mean, you could say that this went off at the deep end at chapter 1, but it was like at a consistently really bad rate where it's like, oh yeah, this is the deep end. This can't get any worse. And then, bam, I'm gonna do something illegal and then basically slash the tires of everybody that wants to hold me accountable for the law because screw them. I'm gonna call them names and I'm more important than bomb victims. Basically, is what the book was implying. Despite I didn't understand what it was going for. It's like they're talking about grounding the terrorists, and then she said that she was more important than the. I don't understand. Like I probably misread that. I was kind of spacing out that whole time. Whatever. I'm getting sick of this. Theresa, or I guess Empress Theresa, as she's going by. Chapter 17, they dropped the title, which yeah, sure, cool stuff. But yeah, she's officially a villain. Like at this point, she is a full blown villain. You can't even say that she's deluded or like just saying, oh, like I think it should just be winter all year long, or I think it should be summer all year long, and I just see it this way, and I'm just naive. You can at least say that she's feigning being naive, but no, she is flat out just attacking the people that are standing against her, that are trying to hold her up to the law. This is protagonist centered morality. This isn't even like a delusion anymore. It's just like you have to be actively writing this character to be a bad guy. I cannot follow this whatsoever. And the worst part about this all, like, I need to take a look at chapter 18. Like, this is what's coming up here. Let's see. 266 to. Oh no. 290. I am not looking forward to this next chapter. This next chapter it's pretty long. I don't think it's as long as that time they were at the frickin' Parker residence talking about whatever, but it's frickin' long. I don't know. Have a good one. You know what? I'm in such a bad mood that I think I need to add some levity. What I'm going to officially make it a tradition at the end of every chapter. I'm going to cite some scripture from the Bible because I think I need it, and I think everybody needs some scripture every now and then. So for this chapter, I think that the most fitting verse or the most fitting scripture I can find, considering what Theresa's been going through with, thinking she's the world leader, she's the judge, jury, and executioner now. I'm going to be reading the verse of today's chapter is going to be Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 through 4. Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. Let each of you look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. That's from the New King James Version, for those of you that like the specifics. I think we can end on that note. Have a good one. God bless you.